A subtle shift in tone, a softness in her voice when she'd say, "I'll be out for lunch with a friend." The kind of softness that only stands out if you've heard its sharper edges before, the ones you thought you had smoothed out through years of love and loyalty. Laura and I had been married for 8 years. 8 years of shared morning coffees, whispered dreams, and the kind of silent understanding that only comes from knowing someone deeply. I believed we were solid. Sure, we had our shared disagreements, but who doesn't? I chalked it up to the natural wear and tear of life. That was before the text. It happened one ordinary evening. Her phone buzzed beside me on the couch. I glanced, not even intending to pry, but the message lit up the screen. "I can't stop thinking about today." It was from a number I didn't recognize. When I asked her about it, she laughed nervously. "It's nothing, just a group chat. You know how girls can be." I nodded, not wanting to press further. But that night, lying in bed beside her, staring at the ceiling, I knew something was wrong. Deeply wrong. Weeks passed. Her lunch outings became more frequent. Her explanations grew vaguer. Something inside me broke. I did something I'm not proud of. I went through her phone. One afternoon, she left it unattended. The messages I found weren't just flirty. They were explicit, emotional, personal. They were the kind of messages you send someone you're falling in love with. The messages were from a man named Eric. So much for a harmless friend. And this wasn't just a fling. Their texts weren't purely physical. They were intimate in ways I hadn't seen from her in years. It was the kind of closeness we used to share. The kind I thought still belonged to us. For a week, I kept it to myself, torn between confrontation and denial. I didn't yell. I didn't pack my bags. I didn't beg for an explanation. Instead, I planned. Carefully, quietly. I started with research. A few clicks on social media told me Eric was a colleague, some sales rep she had collaborated with on a project. He was married too. His wife's name was Christine, a petite brunette with kind eyes and 2 small children. I fell for her. Truly, I did. But sympathy didn't stop me. The plan came together faster than I expected. First, I hired a private investigator, Frank, gruff, no nonsense, with a face like an old bulldog. Within days, he handed me a folder. Photos. Laura and Eric leaving a hotel. Arms brushing. Laughing like teenagers. A kiss in her car. Undeniable proof. Next, I reached out to Christine. I kept it short. "Hi, Christine. I know this will be hard to hear, but I believe your husband Eric is having an affair with my wife, Laura. I've attached some photos. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you." Her reply came an hour later. Just one sentence. "Thank you for telling me." The ball was rolling, and there was no stopping it now. But I had one last card to play. I wanted Laura to see what she had done, to feel it, so I invited her to lunch. "Let's have a date," I said, with a smile that didn't reach my eyes. "Just the 2 of us. We haven't done that in a while." She agreed, eagerly, even. Maybe she thought I was trying again. Maybe she believed I knew nothing. She was wrong. The day arrived. I set the table with care, crisp white cloth, polished silverware, and 2 glasses of red wine. To the untrained eye, it looked romantic. But this wasn't a dinner date. This was a reckoning. At the center of the table was a plain manila envelope. Inside, every photo, every screenshot, every lie laid bare. Laura walked in, cheeks flushed from her lunch outing. Her smile faded the moment she saw the table. Her eyes landed on the envelope. "What's this?" she asked, voice trembling. I said nothing, just gestured for her to sit. Slowly, she did. I slid the envelope across the table. "Open it." She hesitated, then began to leaf through the contents. Her face paled. Her jaw tightened. "I can explain," she whispered. "Explain." I said, calm but cold. "Explain what? That you've been lying to me for months? That you've been sneaking around with a married man? That our marriage meant so little to you?" Tears welled in her eyes. "It's not like that," she murmured. "Then what is it like, Laura?" I asked, my voice rising, because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've been having your cake and eating it too. She broke. Completely. Sobs. Apologies, excuses, all of it too little, too late, and I just sat there, watching the wreckage unfold. I didn't stop her from crying. I let her sit there, consumed by the wreckage she created. When she finally looked up, eyes red, face streaked with tears, I delivered the next blow. I've spoken to Christine. Her expression changed instantly. Pure panic. You what? She gasped. She knows. Everything. Just like I do. You didn't just wreck our home. Laura, you shattered Hayes too. 2 families. Gone. Congratulations. Before she could respond, there was a knock at the door. Laura's head snapped toward the sound, dread spreading across her face. I stood and opened it. Christine walked in. Her face was composed, almost serene, but her eyes burned with fury. And behind her, silent and sheepish, stood Eric. Laura went pale. What is this? She whispered. This, I said calmly, is the truth finally catching up to you. What followed was raw and brutal. Christine didn't hold back. She tore into Eric with the weight of years of trust, of loyalty, of sacrifice, ripped apart by betrayal. Eric stood there, stammering like a schoolboy caught cheating on a test. Laura tried to speak, to insert herself into the moment, but Christine turned to her, eyes sharp, voice like a blade. Don't you dare, she hissed. Don't you dare try to excuse this. You're selfish, dishonest. You knew exactly what you were doing. The words that followed weren't gentle. They weren't meant to be. No one held back anymore. Eric finally spoke, mumbling something about feeling ignored, like his needs weren't being met at home. I laughed, bitter and cold. Unappreciated. I echoed. You have 2 beautiful kids and a wife who would have walked through fire for you, and this is how you say thank you. By the time it ended, emotions had been stripped bare. The damage was clear. Laura and Eric looked like husks, drained, empty, ashamed. Christine and I exchanged a look. No words, just a mutual understanding. We weren't the victims anymore. We were survivors. Everything unraveled quickly after that. Laura packed her things that evening and left. I filed for divorce the next morning. Christine did the same. Eric lost his job soon after. Christine had forwarded the evidence to his employer. As for Laura, word of the affair spread fast. Her reputation, once spotless, was now in shambles. Friends turned their backs. Families stopped calling. They had no one to blame but themselves. As for me, I won't lie. It hurt. There were nights I broke down, moments where getting out of bed felt like lifting a mountain. But I didn't stay in that darkness. I went to therapy. I started running. I reconnected with people I'd lost touch with. Slowly, the rage dissolved, replaced by a quiet resolve to rebuild. A year later, I'm more at peace than I've been in years. I've learned to value myself, to expect honesty, to demand respect. Laura and Eric, last I heard, their so-called relationship couldn't survive the weight of guilt. Some say revenge isn't the healthiest reason to act, but sometimes it's a jolt we need to reclaim what was taken from us. And that's exactly what I did.